Oh, did I miss I missed the chief financial officer report. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Scott, you're up. Sorry.
All right.
Poor guy.
You did the budget, I figured.
That was it. It's all right.
That's
If we
it,
can
you got
go
one to time.
to board book page,
All right.
what is that?
61.
61 we'll start at. And I'd like to highlight the April monthly financials. This represents 83% of our current year. Total monthly revenue for all funds for the month of April was $840,000. Real estate taxes accounted for $184,000. General state aid payment was $182,000. We did receive a special ed transportation payment of $83,000 from the state, and we did also receive a corporate property replacement tax payment from the state of $72,000. On the expenditure side, total monthly expenditures was roughly $1.8 million. Once again, salary and benefits, that's our biggest expenditure. That accounted for $1.45 million. And our out-of-district tuition accounted for $72,000 for the month of April. Our operating fund balance at the end of April is $18.6 million. I just want to remind the public that the Board of Education has restricted $3 million of that in the working cash fund, which the actual balance is $15.6 million for the operating fund balances. If we move to board book page 62 and look at the financial statements, the first page that you come to, you will see what our beginning balances were of all funds, plus the revenue minus the expenditures, giving us our end of the month balances as of April 30th. If we look at the revenue side on board book page 63, you will see that our revenues are all over budget in our operating funds except for the operations and maintenance fund, which is Fund 20. I am expecting to receive from the state one more additional corporate property tax replacement tax revenue source there, and also a payment for cell tower rental should be coming in at the end of this month or the beginning of June. So with that being said, I believe that our operations and maintenance should be at 100% or just slightly over budget. The accounts that are way out of whack with the percentages, once the amended budget is adopted, the amended amounts will be placed in here to reflect it. So in the May financials, it will be reflected more closely, and you won't see those big giant percentages.
That's basically just on the working cash.
Working
correct?
cash and the
Life safety. Okay.
and also the debt service with the refinancing. If we move on to board book page 64 on the expenditure side, all the operating funds are tracking right at where I'm expecting them to track at. Once again, if everything comes in correctly as I'm seeing it, we should come in at budget or slightly better than budget within our operating funds. The capital projects fund does look way over budget at 182%. The original budget amount of the 438, that only took into account the cost for the new tennis courts and the parking lot. The additional money that was spent is the money that was retained by the district in the previous phase for the stadium project. And as phase 3 was getting completed, payment was dispersed to those contractors, which put that over budget on that. Moving on to the revenue expense report, I tried to put a summary for the board to look at of counts that I felt were very obvious as to, okay, are they over budget, under budget? I'm not going to go through all of them. There were some questions submitted on the revenue expense report on board book page 69. There was a question on the technology fees that was addressed by our tech director, Mike Connors. The additional fees were from transfer students or payments from outstanding fees from prior years. On board book page 70, under tech enhancing education, as a reminder, the district did receive FY17 grant money in FY18. The remainder of the money is actual FY18 reimbursement dollars for career and technical education. Board book page 73 under transportation. The account on that one is $10,000 over. The payments that we received were 2 payments from FY17 and then 2 payments from FY18. I am not expecting the state to release any other payments on that, so our next payments will be in FY19. On board book page 79 under health insurance, currently right now all of our health insurance is being billed under the general account. What needs to happen here within either this month or the next month is a journal adjustment to reflect the actual cost for our special education department and our superintendent's office. So if you were to look through the revenue expense, you will see that right now the expended amount in the special ed department for health insurance, dental insurance, and life insurance is currently sitting at 0, and also in the superintendent's office is sitting at 0. There will be a journal adjustment made to reflect the actual cost for those departments. Board book page 81, under Title I non-certified salaries. There was an additional salary that was billed to this account incorrectly. A journal adjustment has already been made this month. It will be reflected on the May financials, so that line item will not be over budget. The correct account was billed, and it should reflect accurately.
Those are all your questions?
That was all the questions submitted on the revenue expense. If we move on to the student activity accounts, the same 2 accounts are still in the negative, which is alumni achievement and the Illinois virtual school. Working on trying to get those back down to being balanced or in the positive. You will see that we do have fundraising coming in and out throughout these activity accounts.
What's the Illinois virtual school account for?
It's an online.
Right, but what are we, Kristen, what do we have an activity account for that? Do you know?
I do not.
It's basically an in and out. The student pays for the class, comes in with the revenue, and pays for their credit.
I mean, the alumni achievement, I think that runs through the Alumni Achievement Board. They meet every other year, unless we get enough donations. I mean, sometimes we run in the red, Marianne, right, for the plaques and some of the, we've tried to cover our costs the best we can with that, correct? But that's probably not going to get brought up to speed until the next time we do alumni achievement and see if we get enough to cover.
The.
Could you remind me what the testing activity account is?
So that's primarily used for AP tests with College Board, and so all of the student fees are funneled into that. And so if the balance, I'm assuming, is still
pretty
very
large.
high, we haven't made the
haven't-
payment to College Board yet,
Yeah,
since
okay.
AP tests have just completed last
The
Friday.
invoice will be
So
coming.
that will go down significantly.
Why are we running it through an activity account?
Student fees in and then goes right back out, and then if a kid decides not to take the test, we reimburse them.
Right, so why are we running it through an activity account?
Up until this year, all of our student fees went through an activity account.
Right, so when we move some over there, why didn't we move that one over, since AP is part of our school program? I mean, I don't understand.
I will say the benefit of the activity account in this case is that by being able to carry a slight balance, we can also use that money the next year if we need to purchase some additional tables or have some additional proctors based off of accommodations or things of that nature. And those can vary from year to year, and we can't always predict what those are going to be the following year.
I don't know. I thought as part of our school activity, it should be running through as a budgeted account and, I don't know.
We could talk more about it. I mean, we haven't written, since I've been here, it hasn't run through that.
Yeah, I know it is. I just, because I thought we moved some over
We
last
moved all
year.
the student fees accounts because what
Right.
was happening was like in English, math, etc. For this, since this is just a checking account,
Right.
almost a checkbook,
Right.
when we collect the student fees, there's no way to put in the money for the 20% free and reduced lunch. So every year, English, math, science, a lot of them are running at a negative balance because there's no district money to offset that. So that's why we push this to, we push those accounts to a district account, because then this way, the fees are collected, the board puts in the difference for the free and reduced lunch, and then it eliminates running negative balance here and then having these other accounts cover their negative balance. We reimburse students that don't take the test. It's
We
part
do.
of their initial fee for AP, right?
Mhm.
So you could have several hundred, not several hundred, but you could have 100 refunds coming in, you know.
Yes, that happens sometimes with our senior students, especially if they've gotten accepted into a college and they find out that their college doesn't give them college credit for a particular test, or sometimes that happens with our AP English students. They get credit for lit but not laying, and so then they don't need that test, and so they ask for
So I think it's
a
because it's
reimbursement.
more
Or if they
fluid in
drop.
there.
Or if they drop, correct.
Scott, did you have any questions that were submitted on the activity accounts?
No questions were submitted on the activity.
Okay.
accounts.
Right, is that,
That's it for his report.
that's it? All right. I'll ask for visitor statements, no visitors.